journalists that are using HARO are pretty smart. They're not going to just take anybody. They actually outline specifically the type of people they want to talk to. And they mean it. And these people probably get hundreds of replies per query. So if it's not relevant to you, don't bother. Do not waste your time. The other thing too is how to respond to these queries is all of the answers have to be original content. They can't be produced by AI. There's a lot of queries now that the journalists will even say, original content only, no AI, because they know. They just know. Hey, it's Renee. Welcome to the Into the Wild Show, the podcast for women who want to build incredible mental strength to level up their business and lifestyle. I'm Renee Warren, the founder of We Wild Women, author, speaker, award-winning entrepreneur, and your host. Together, we will make you unapologetic about shining your light, growing your business, and turning you into a wildly confident and successful leader. This is for you, the visionary, the go-getter, the entrepreneur, and for those that need a real kick in the butt to get going and to dream bigger. Each week, I bring in leading experts and entrepreneurs to help you take leaps in the right direction, because I know the best advice comes from someone who has successfully done it before. So, are you ready to level up? Welcome to Into the Wild. Hey, you wild women. Today, I want to do a quick download on how to use and leverage a really cool free tool called Help a Reporter Out. Now, I'm going to give you some tips, but really, this is, I would say, and I always say this, and I'm giggling now, because I find this one of the most annoying things about PR are these free query sites. So there's like Help a Reporter Out, Source Bottle. There's a bunch of other ones. Because what happens is to use it effectively is you have to check the emails as they come in right away. And you really have to try to be one of the first people to replies to the relevant queries in order to be considered. But let's dive in really quickly and let's learn about how to leverage Help a Reporter Out, so HARO or other queries for your business, and how to develop this as a link building strategy. First thing I'm going to admit to is not being a link building or SEO expert. I am by no means an SEO expert. What I know about SEO is the importance of how it plays into public relations and why it's important for PR. One of the things we start out with in any of our programs, whether it's retainer work from our Sidelines to Headlines program or for the Authority Booster Intensive, is we ask our customers for a keyword list, 10 to 20 keywords. And here's why. The number one thing is it really helps us understand your industry, but we really want to sprinkle in those keywords to our pitches, our press releases, our HARO replies. And here's why. Mostly for HARO, it's because the journalist needs to know that it's relevant to them. But for journalists that you're randomly pitching outside of HARO, maybe it's even in HARO, is even though your pitch might not be relevant to them now, if for whatever reason they're writing a story about your industry in the future, they will search their inbox for keywords. And if you are smart about your keyword usage, your pitch will come up and maybe they'll go and they'll reply to you or reach out to you later. So keywords is huge. It's important. There are companies that you can hire just for SEO and just for even answering HARO queries. So really quickly, what is HARO? HARO is a free service that if you are a journalist or a source, you can sign up for. So we're not journalists. Let's talk about us being a source. So a source is an expert in the industry. This could be whatever industry you're in. You're trying to use PR to position yourself as the expert in the space because you want to build that credibility and that authority. And you can sign up to be a source expert. What I see a lot in terms of HARO is there's a lot of need for therapists in all sectors, a lot of designers, interior designers, gardeners, doctors, veterinarians. So like really key industries that will crush it on HARO. And so it's free to sign up. When you do sign up, you go to Help a Reporter Out. I think it's .com. You can sign up to be a source. And what happens is you click the industry that interests you. And then every weekday, you get 3 emails typically, morning email, afternoon email, and then evening summary. And what these emails are is a summary of journalists that have submitted a query on the platform with regards to a story that they're writing. So they might say something like, hey, I'm writing about the best dog food for small dogs. The story will be on puppy.com. And I would like to talk to veterinarians that live in New York State. So that might be the query. And if this happens to be you, you would reply and you would answer the questions and you could reply right in the email. And I've used it before. Personally, I've used it for clients and we've gotten some pretty cool, interesting opportunities and some big wins. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of digging. So what is the general concept of link building? Well, to put it in layman's terms, link building is the act of getting high quality websites linking back to your website. That's the whole point. Because search engines look at the health of a website. One of the criteria is based on what high quality websites are linking back to yours and how many of those. How many of those aren't broken and all this stuff. Now, getting mentioned and linked to high quality publications often is really good for your domain. And so that is the general concept of link building without going into much detail. So I'm going to answer some of these questions here. When it comes to using HARO, one of the questions is, are there certain niches that should and should not be on HARO? I don't think that there are too many niches and industries that aren't on HARO, but there are some that are way more popular than others, like the ones I mentioned with regards to therapists and doctors and vets and interior designers, gardeners, stuff like that. There's a lot of them. There's also a lot around business and entrepreneurship. How we typically use HARO is because they come in so early in the morning for us here on the West Coast. It's the first thing I skim. I skim for the publication that they're writing for certain keywords. And then if there's an opportunity that the answer really needs to come from a client because it's very long or personal, I'll shoot them the query and say, please reply to this right away. Or I'll take a stab at answering for them based on the information that we've extracted from our client. So does HARO actually turn into big media opportunities? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if it's something that's a part of your daily PR activities, you can see the patterns and you can start to understand how to leverage the tool. It's annoying in the sense that you get all these emails. However, if you can find every morning, maybe 5 or 10 minutes to just go through these queries, you might be able to land some pretty cool opportunities. So one of the questions here, so how to vet HARO queries to respond to and which ones aren't worth it? Well, put it this way, is journalists that are using HARO are pretty smart. They're not going to just take anybody. They actually outline specifically the type of people they want to talk to. And they mean it. And these people probably get hundreds of replies per query. So if it's not relevant to you, don't bother. Do not waste your time. The other thing too is how to respond to these queries is all of the answers have to be original content. They can't be produced by AI. There's a lot of queries now that the journalists will even say, original content only, no AI, because they know. They just know. And so the more you can keep doing this, the better. There's an agency, actually, I heard them on a podcast the other day. There's an agency out there that all they do for their clients is reply to HARO queries. And they get somewhere like 80 queries a month for their clients. I don't know how many clients they have. That's resulted in some pretty big media wins, including daytime television, including print, including getting on some pretty notable podcasts. I know you're probably thinking, Renee, I don't have the time to be checking all of these emails, all of these HARO queries coming in, or Source Bottle, wherever these queries are coming in. I don't have time to check the emails 3 times a day. I know, I'm in that same boat too. So this is why the Authority Booster Intensive might be a perfect fit for you. And here's why. During the day that we dedicate solely to you in creating your custom PR strategy, one of the components is in going into detail on how to leverage Help a Reporter Out. This includes crafting the response and how to reply, when to reply, and all the details that I've been talking about in this episode. But instead of you doing the work, we're doing the work for you. So in your VIP day, the Authority Booster Intensive Day, part of the things is understanding the integration part of using the strategy and creating an effective PR campaign, one of which is HARO. And I know, I see all the time, Renee, after 2 weeks, it got really annoying. I just stopped and unsubscribed. Totally get it. I feel like that almost every day when I see these emails come in. There are ways of which we teach you in the program and how to set up filters in your inbox, when you should be checking it, how you should be checking it, and who you should be delegating it to on your team so that you're still leveraging that free tool to be able to get the media coverage you deserve. So if you're interested in a custom PR strategy that includes how to leverage free tools like HARO, go to wewildwomen.com/VIP day to check out the Authority Booster Intensive. Or if you have any questions, follow me on Instagram, Renee_Warren. Next up is how fast should you reply to HARO queries? Like I said earlier, as soon as they come in. So they're all marked with deadlines too. So most of them you have at least 24 hours. I'd say 48 to 72 is generally how long you have to answer them. But put it this way. Imagine you're a writer and you have a deadline for a story and you put out this query and you want to talk to some expert vet, we'll say. And I'm saying that because I'm holding my son's stuffed puppy. So all I can think about is a vet. His name is Spirit. And you really need to craft the story, but you need the expert's input. And you're writing this story, you're going to very likely take the first best results. That's the nature of the journal. Like, they're not going to sit and wait for a stranger who might be a better fit to answer. No, they're going to use the query replies that come in that are the first best results. So that's why I say the morning, because I think it goes out at like 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The morning should be the time that you're sifting through these queries really quickly. As soon as you see an opportunity, you write your reply. So how do you prepare for HARO queries? If you're in a specific niche, you can start to see the pattern of the questions that journalists ask. There's only so many things they can talk about. It's best for you to articulate a lot of these responses and throw them into a Google Doc and keep them there. Never reuse the same response. What you need to do is, if you do happen to need that same response, is you just change it a little bit because everything has to be original. And over time, all you have to do really is cut and paste these, fluff it up, juju it up so that it actually answers the journalist's query. And it becomes a lot quicker. And they get to the point that you can even hire somebody else outside of the company or on your team to reply to these HARO queries for you. How long do they need to be? Well, they'll tell you in the query. Otherwise, you want to provide as much information as possible without it being an essay. Journalists hate one-sentence replies. They need juiciness. They essentially want you to write their bits of the article for them because they're on deadline. Some of these journalists are pumping out 2 or 3 articles a day. So they will be more apt to taking the response that is already spell checked, articulate, goes with the flow. They can cut and paste. No bullet points unless that's what they ask. So essentially, you're writing responses that are ready to be cut and paste verbatim. That's what you want to do. All of this to say, your number one goal in answering these queries is to give journalists their time back. That's what they want. They need expert advice, which is the table stakes. You need to give them their time back. If you're a crap writer, then you hire somebody who can write these for you. If you're a decent writer, then subscribe to products like Grammarly and some other copy AI tools that can help you craft these messages. The whole point being is make sure that it is so good it's something you would want to read. One question here is, should you try to be edgy or unique in your answer? I always default to yes, but don't use buzzwords and don't be edgy or unique that's forced. You really just need to answer the query, provide your insight, and hopefully it's unique. Hopefully it's different than what other people are saying. So how important is it to use an email address that is my domain name when pitching a journalist, or can I use a Gmail address? Well, I'm mixed emotions about this. I've heard both sides. I've heard some people say it really doesn't matter as long as it's not like babycake69@hotmail.com. I always say when you can have a professional domain, use that. For whatever reason you need to use your Gmail, use that. Don't use Hotmail. I'm so anti-Hotmail. But no, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It matters how you show up, how you articulate your response. But if you said, okay, Renee, choose one, please use a professional email address. The next one is, how important is the subject line? Well, if you reply just to the query itself, it auto-generates some sort of headline for the journalist. However, the most important thing, and what I do, is when I'm replying to that query, I just put RE, and then in the subject line, I use the query title so that they know what it's about. Because again, these journalists could be writing 2 or 3 articles a day. And if you're not specifying what query it is, very quickly, they might lose track. Do you follow up with these queries? Well, here's the thing. With Help a Reporter Out is it crafts this kind of blanket email address for these journalists per query. And so you don't actually get their personal information. However, if you can dig it up or you happen to have that person's contact information, sure, follow up in a couple days. Absolutely. Unless it's indicated otherwise. But if you can find their contact information, then you shoot them a quick email, you copy and paste the response that you wrote in the HARO query reply, and you just say, hey, listen, here's a couple other things I wanted to add that I didn't include last time, or you add a unique perspective that you didn't already include. Avoid saying just following up to see if you got my reply. Because yes, they did. They got your reply, believe me. And if it was absolutely stunning and perfect, they would have used it. And here's the other thing too, in these replies, just because there might be a deadline of September 1st at 7 p.m., it doesn't mean the post is going live the next day. Some of these articles might be published the next week, the next month, and I've seen things published 12 months later. A lot of this content is at the mercy of the editors for the publication outside of the reach of the journalist. They're just replying to their editor's request, or they've submitted the article that the editor has accepted, and they don't know when it's going live. Oftentimes for bigger publications, journalists that might be staff writers or freelance writers, they don't actually know. So one thing to do is don't ask them when it's going live. Unless you know that it's a smaller publication and you're curious. And just be like, if you do ask them when it's going live and you know that you're in it, just say, I'm just curious because we want to set this up in our social media promotion to be promoting the content. Because again, they want your expertise, but they also want to know that you're going to promote the content. So you can follow up. Just be mindful of the fact that a lot of these writers, they might not know when things are going live. And if they do, some of them might not tell you because things change all the time. Editorial calendars change on a constant basis. And also, don't be one of those people that email for the sake of it and then you just keep flooding a journalist's inbox. Don't be that person. Journalists that write for gift guides, especially during the big seasons like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, and Christmas, they can see upwards of 1,000 emails a day for certain gift guides. So don't be the person that is just diluting their inbox with more content. So some quick tips on how to leverage HARO. And if you're thinking, Renee, should I be using this? I'm going to go back to the other week's episode about things that overwhelm small businesses about PR. And one of them is to do this right, it requires some time. There's no doubt it requires time. And this is why I always say have an assistant or have your second in command or somebody in marketing manage these things, because I genuinely believe it is every business's responsibility to have some sort of PR campaign or initiative happening in their organization, because it is, as we know it, the most trusted form of marketing. And HARO is a perfect tool for any small business to use because it is free and it gives you a direct access to journalists and some really cool opportunities that are coming up for your industry. So if you have any questions about HARO or any other queries like Source Bottle, which is predominantly Australia-based or UK-based, hit me up on Instagram, Renee_Warren, and our We Wild Women account, and I'd be happy to help you out. Until next time, ladies, peace out. So there you have it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Into the Wild. To make this girl happy and to help reach other women who are dreaming of starting their business, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and everywhere you listen in. Also, if you want to find me in the wild, check me out on Instagram at Renee_Warren. That's RENEE_WARREN. And leaving you with one of my favorite tips of all time, The best advice you could ever receive is from someone who has successfully done it before you. Until next time, ladies, peace out.